Hello, everyone. Welcome back. You're with the Circle of Hope pastors. One of us is in California. It's not me. We are gathered again via this hangout to talk about some kind of frequently asked questions. People ask us questions all the time in real life, and we've been trying to spend about 9 minutes in unscripted dialogue answering. And today's question, someone asked, what about heaven and hell? Pretty vague question there, Rod, but get us started. What about heaven and hell?
Yeah, I suppose we can talk about this for like 90 minutes, not 9 minutes, but I think that it's important to talk about it since people are so subject to it in their sense about what Christianity is all about. I think whenever you talk to somebody, they think it's about heaven and hell, about trying to get out of hell and somehow get into heaven, whatever that means. I was when I was in Florence, standing outside of Dante's house. I had to admire his great artifice when he, kind of perpetrated this on us in Western culture. When he has this very hierarchical heaven and hierarchical hell, and he takes his little trip with Virgil through it, and gets everyone's imagination about burning and bubbling in hell for the rest of time. And we haven't got it out of our head yet, but I don't really think it's in the Bible.
I love it, taking it right there. I mean, if faith is supposed to just take care of the eternal questions and the rest of your life, you learn from relationships with your sports buddies at the bar. That is what I've been calling a split level Christianity. And that fragmentation is really bad for discipleship. But the people asking the question aren't just even Christians, but friends of mine, like say people on my sports team, are wondering, like, even if I'm relating to them, do I think that they are going to hell? And that defines how they think our relationship is. If they think I have them in one category in my head.
Well, it's not only Dante's fault with his piece of fiction, but the whole kind of modern, especially Western mindset, but I guess it's probably even further back than that in Gnosticism, where when we think about ourselves as these distinct bodies and souls, when the whole thing becomes escaping our bodies so we can go be with God in some sense. And the flip side of it is, well, if you're not going to go be with God in heaven, well, I suppose you're going to go be with the devil in hell, and that's just been perpetrated on us for centuries and centuries.
I've thought a lot about this basic idea that Nate's talking about. I always get some cognitive dissonance. I'll just start with this basic thought about the God I serve in the person of Jesus Christ. Truly, it's against his nature to punish someone forever for what they did in what is a finite period of time. The two don't match up. Frankly, just in terms of my postmodern brain, it just seems irrational. I don't understand that. And so I relate to a lot of the people that ask the question, hell doesn't make any sense. Why would I believe in this idea? Because it doesn't make any sense to me personally.
I think that though, whereas I agree with you, Johnny, and I think that Jesus came to save the world and not condemn it, and he says it very plainly, and demonstrates it ultimately. But the lack of awareness of the hell that actually we're living, where we can actually perpetrate the firebombing of Iraq and then just blissfully not even think about it, where we can manage to keep people in prison for years at a time in their own hell and think that that's just. I mean, there's a shock value to the spirituality that I think people keep trying to get humans to pay attention to, because sin and death is a real thing. And you are perpetrating it, and you will pay for that. There's going to be a justice that comes as a result. God is gracious to make sure that doesn't happen too soon for us, but it's going to, and people don't think it's going to, and they go ahead and keep killing and whatever else we do to each other and say it's just fine. So I mean, there's some rationale for why these things become part of the dialogue.
Man,
The other
you
end of the
nailed it.
spectrum there too is the personal hells people are living in their depression, in their suffering. It's present for them, and I would say it's present especially for people who aren't connected to Jesus. Joshua, I cut you off. Sorry.
Oh, it's okay. I liked what you said too, and I think Rod was nailing it there. Even just bringing in John 3:17, like how many of us are just not familiar with that rest of the conversation he's having with Nicodemus. The supposed meritocracy of your life, and that there will be that justice Rod's talking about is such a. I mean, I get the need to think like that, because if why would bad things happen to good people? Why do bad people win sometimes? Shouldn't the vulnerable person be eternally cared for? Or somebody was telling me that the Pope was talking about dogs going to heaven or something recently, and those questions like, well, I don't want my dog to go to hell or to just dissipate. Those are the glimpses that we get into eternity. I think we want to make that into like this sort of rational spectrum rather than even finding the hope for resurrection in Jesus, which was his thing, and that was antithesis. It was the reality was everyone dies, and then Jesus brought in this other element that was, continues to be radical, and it's found in grace and not just in your, meritocracy.
Yeah, Jesus gives us the path. I mean, we follow him. He had a bodily resurrection, a physical resurrection into heaven. He ate with his disciples, John 21, after, and it nourished him. He wasn't a spirit that ended up one place or another. And we're invited to participate in that full, complete body resurrection, or not. I mean, death is the other side of it. I mean, I don't think there's... And I think death is enough, that you'll perish, just like John 3:16 says.
Well, as Paul celebrates so much, and all of this wonder, this resurrection is by such grace. The wonder that is ours is not something that we deserve. What I think people get so upset with God about in this whole notion of heaven and hell is that they're so entitled. They actually think that they deserve it if they've managed to come up with some rubric by which their percentage of good outweighs their percentage of evil. And they love that kind of justice, rationalism that I can control, rather than having this just be a gift of God through the love of Christ that we can receive gratefully. And I think that's really hard for people to swallow. So they might even prefer this dualistic heaven and hell as something that seems much more reasonable to them. They can take that to court.
It's so much easier than thinking about parables in Matthew 25 or something as people being cast out where there's the weeping and gnashing of teeth. I think we think that would be like this allusion to eternal punishment, rather than Jesus picking up there and saying, like, the people who go there, like me, and love those people are the ones who are getting it. The people who actually go to hell, and I think, I would just note that he may have been referencing at different points the garbage dump where the fires burned, the Gehenna where the, people were burning, mass graves of sick people or something. Like, people got this image of like, oh yeah, the fires are burning, people are suffering, we need to go there, and we need to bring the kingdom and bring people into fullness, not just be afraid of punishment or something.
Yeah, it's kind of a whole diminishment of our relationship with God, that when John the Baptist is saying that the chaff is going to be burned with unquenchable fire, I think that's a reality that, is God's prerogative to bring his creation to right.
Mm-hmm.
And he's saying you don't really have the the right to stand before God and kind of adjudicate this with Him, and keep contesting with Him as if you aren't just a recipient of your physical life and your eternal life by His grace.
Mm. Well, you were right, Rod. We probably could talk about this for another 80 minutes or so, but our time is up. So thank you for watching this, and continue to engage us in conversation personally. We here in the Philadelphia Metro will sit here and suffer in our hell as Joshua is in the heaven of California.
Yeah,
And,
I'm so
we'll
grateful
see you
to
next
be.
time.
Yeah.
Like the video and share it if you can. Thanks. Peace.